Welcome to the Film Florida podcast. My name is John Lux, and I'm the Executive Director of Film Florida. Thanks for downloading this episode of the podcast. Before we hear from our guests, please remember to subscribe, rate, and review the Film Florida podcast. If you're not already a member, please consider joining Film Florida at filmflorida.org. Finally, we still have a Film Florida merchandise page. Go to teespring.com/stores/Film Florida to purchase Film Florida t-shirts, sweatshirts, coffee mugs, and now protective masks as well. Today we're talking with Shanna Gorandy and Christina Hollerbach. Shanna is a resident of Sanford, Florida in Seminole County, just north of Orlando. Her home was used as a location in the Right Stuff television series on Disney+. And Christina started Film Sanford, which is a group that promotes Sanford, Florida as a filming destination. We talk about how the Right Stuff found both Shanna's home and Sanford in general, and what the entire process was like. Here's my conversation with Shanna and Christina. Thanks for being with us today, Shanna and Christina.
Glad to be here.
So, Shanna, we met through Facebook, and Film Florida shared something about the Right Stuff, and you commented that the series filmed at your house. So, take us through how that all came to be.
Okay. So I actually had a friend in town tag me in a post on Facebook called Central Florida Modern. It's a group, and there is a location scout who was asking for specifically 1950s homes. And so I went on and I started just submitting my photos, and Stacy was the talent scout, and she ended up reaching out to me and saying, "Hey, do you mind if I come to Sanford and take a look at your house?" And I said, "Of course, that'd be awesome." So we made arrangements. She came to the house and took some photos and said, "I'm going to send this to the director," which the director was in California at the time. And, all the big wigs like the set designer, the producer, the writers, all that stuff. So she came easy breezy. She was awesome. We probably heard back from them 2 or 3 weeks later. And she's like, "They love your house. They want to come out and do a tour." And I was like, "Okay, let's do it." So it was really great. They all came out. There was probably 10 of them. And there were all the leads of the lead photo guy, the lead set designer, the producer, the writer. They all came, they checked it out, and they loved it. So they were like, let's go with it. So in the meantime, Stacy was there to answer any questions I had about how does this work? What are the next steps? In the post, I forgot to say, she did mention that it was for a really great television show that had a high budget and the pay was really good. So that also, I was like, yes, let's do it. So that's kind of how we got to that position. So after they came out and they approved the house, and we kind of just went through legalities of signing paperwork, and they told me how much I would get paid and all that stuff. And then we were kind of just waiting until a film date.
So then the day of filming arrives, and they given you a lot of heads up about what's going to happen. But what was it like for the period that they were actually at your house filming?
So they came, it was a 4-day commitment. So for the first 3 days, they had the set designers come in, and they came in and they took all the furniture out. The kitchen is updated. So they put they put I don't know how to, a contact paper that they had painted an orange, that orange color back in the 60s. They made this amazing, for Micah. They made this amazing cutting board to kind of hide our appliances, because obviously they were modern appliances. They weren't, from the 1960s. So that was cool. I was never really nervous about them doing anything to the house, because they were going to put everything exactly back the way that before they came in. They did film outside in the back, and they did paint my house pink. So that was interesting. I remember my friends texting me during when it aired, and they were like, "Hold on, wait, isn't your house blue? Why is it pink?" And I was like, "That's what the set designers did." So we gave them obviously free range to do whatever they needed to the house. They put blinds up. The cool thing about it is that my house is very period from 1956. So they actually used a lot of my own furniture, which I was grateful for. So they didn't have to move it, because a lot of this furniture is very delicate. So I was happy about that. so that was 3 days of prep. I also knew one of the set designers, which is a good friend of mine. He was working on the set too, so I felt very comfortable having him in my house. He reassured that everything was going to be okay. So I never had any doubts that my house was going to get ruined or anything like that. They were all very professional, and it was like a great experience. It was like they were in and out. Didn't even know they were here. So
And is the house still pink though?
no, they painted it back. That like they got finished filming, and by like 5 o'clock, it was painted back to blue, the original color.
Wow.
They worked really fast. Yeah.
And now, to that point though, sometimes people are concerned about letting a film crew in their home. Talk about your experience. I mean, you touched on it a little bit, but I mean, did you have any apprehension about it, or, how did that all work?
I would have to say, like, when I first met Stacy, like I just had, she has such great energy and like would answer any of my questions. So she was never hesitant to ask her about, hey, what should I expect? And she was very upfront with me and told me everything. And it was such a great experience. Or it was such a cool experience. I was like, let's just do it. Like, no matter what, I know that they'll take care. Like, I never had any doubt. She assured me that there's insurance, they fully insure the house, they fully insure everything. Anything gets broken, they replace it. She was very upfront, like, sometimes things happen that are out of our control. And I was like, it's okay. I understand. I'm a very understanding person to begin with. I'm a graphic designer, so I'm a big supporter of the arts to begin with. So like, I'm an advocate for that. So we didn't have any issues at all. I think I had a broken pot and they gave me money for it. It wasn't a big deal. It was something outside. But other than that, we had no issues, like nothing on the walls. I mean, no issues, nothing at all.
Now, Christina, having the Right Stuff film in Sanford wasn't necessarily an accident. You're part of a group that is actively pursuing the film and television industry to film more in Sanford, and you're partnering with the city of Sanford and the Orlando Film Commission. So tell us about those efforts to bring more filming to your area.
Sure. Like Shanna said, she even knew one of the set designers. Like, Sanford has a really great production and film community already. So it just makes sense that we would want to encourage more of that in our area. It can do so much in the long term for tourism if something is really popular, but even what it does during production, they're paying people that are from your community to work on those productions. They're paying the craft services. Like, there's a lot of economic development tied in with film that is really vital for a community. So I think it was really fun for us because I love location scouts. It's really cool meeting producers and meeting the bigwigs, but location scouts and production managers, those are my friends. I want to make their job easier. Film Florida and Orlando Film, you guys can negotiate all the big stuff. We really wanted to be like the boots on the ground that help those people do their job well, making it easy for them to scout locations and get approval from all the people, working with their neighbors if there's an issue, working with merchants. So really that boots on the ground assistance to all the other great efforts that Florida Film and Orlando Film Commission already do.
And it wasn't just Shanna that had filming from the Right Stuff in Sanford. The series also filmed in other areas of the community. Tell us a little bit about that.
That was really cool. So like, we have a restaurant on First Street. And so they actually closed down First Street and filmed in one of the antique shops. And it was, I know that it's going to be in the show for like literally like maybe 20 seconds, but it was an all-day production with 6 extras in full costume. I think it's the scene where they're looking at a TV repair shop and they're watching the launch. So they completely redressed a window, got all these extras, did all this stuff, and it's going to be on screen for seconds. But it was so cool, and seeing people in costume and watching all the things that go behind the scenes and the gaffers and the ladders and the stuff. It was very intense, but it was very exciting to watch.
And do you know what attracted them to that area? Was it because you guys are film friendly, or was it something about the period piece that worked with the architecture in your area?
I think it was a nice combination. The location scout that we knew, he'd been in this area before and he was from here. And he's like, do I have a list for you? And when we actually did do the location scouting, he looked at, I think it was David Nutter actually, but he looked at that list and he said, we don't have enough time to go through all these things. And the location scouts know, like, it's literally all in the same area. We can get there on a golf cart. So I think that people, don't realize how much we have to offer in such a condensed area. We've got a lot of mid-century. I think they did some filming in front of our Civic Center as well. Our main street is lovely. There's no palm trees, so it really can be Main Street USA anywhere with the bricks, and a lot of the storefronts are from the early 1900s. So I think it's a very versatile area, and because location scouts know that we want to help and they already have lists of people like Shanna and others in the community, it makes it a really easy sell.
And Shanna, I want to go back to you a little bit about the actual filming at your house. You had mentioned it was a 4-day process. Where did you go?
So they offered us an Airbnb. We have, our house is about 1,800 square feet. It's condensed space, and we have a dog, and they were so sweet. So they got us an Airbnb down the street so we could, put our dog there. I was able to be here every step of the way. Like the day of filming came, I was here, and they set up, and I mean, they probably had 80 people in my house. And I remember Stacy being like, they will fit 80 people in this house. And I was like, there's no way. And they brought like their own air conditioning, where they had air pumping in, so they didn't have to worry about my utilities or like worry about any of that. I have terrazzo floor. So they put, tennis balls on the bottom of all their equipment, their camera, everything. So it was a really cool process. Like probably 5 trucks pulled in. Okay. Those big trucks. And I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And then you just see people unloading wires and lighting. And it's amazing what goes on behind the scenes. I don't think people understand what it takes and how hard these people work to get this set ready. It's almost like the director and the camera guy have the easy job along with the actors, because behind the scenes is just, it's crazy, but it's like this controlled chaos, and it's like beautiful to watch because it all just comes together. I think the actors were probably in my house for a total of like 3 hours, and that's it. But it was like an all day thing, and they were awesome. They had catering on site, and Stacy's like, you can eat with the crew, you can eat with the, just be a part of this. And she's like, I talked to the director let me be behind the camera, like watch the footage, like play it back for me. Like they really involved me. And it was just like a great experience. I never felt that I was in the way. I felt I was like part of it. And I thought that was really cool that they included me like that. So it was like they came in, did their stuff, and they were out, and they didn't even leave one trace that they were ever here. It was just it was like an easy, stress-free process. Christina said we have a very tight community. So there's location scouts knocking on doors all the time, and they'll post it on our group pages, right? And they're like, I don't know if this is legit. And I'm like, and so they'll tag me because I've already had this experience. I'm like, it's legit. Call them. It's awesome. It's a great experience. Go for it. So I love that I'm able to have had that experience to be an advocate, so yeah.
And just the simple disclaimer, when you're talking about 80 people in your house, it's all pre-COVID, right? This is all way before.
Yes, this was
COVID,
actually, they filmed in 2019, August of 2019. It took that long. It was a big production. So I think they had over 100 locations for the first episode. So I remember,
Wow.
them being pretty stressed out about trying to stay in their timeline.
So Shanna, do you know if your house has made the cut in post-production, or do you know what it's going to end up being used for?
My house might be in for 10 seconds. I think mine was 45 seconds. I was like, yes, we almost made a minute.
Excellent. Hey, Christina, I want to go back over to you. For those that aren't aware, we've talked a lot about Sanford in that area. For those that aren't aware, talk about the highlights of why people should think of the Sanford area for their filming.
I've had a few location scouts refer to Sanford as their own personal backlot because we have such versatility. I think the one thing we don't have is like maybe some brownstones, but because we have all these different things in the same area, like she's talking about, these people are on a tight film schedule. If they can get 20 out of those 100 locations all in the same area and knock that production schedule out without having to do all these crazy permits where people already know they're here, it just makes their life easy. And so having some versatility and people that want to help and understand the process makes everybody's job easy.
And Shanna, you had mentioned, you're kind of a seasoned pro at this. This wasn't the first time somebody filmed at your house. And I know it was a little bit different project, but what else is filmed there?
So we actually, Christina knows about this too. Like we had this, it was like a lower budget film called The Replaceables. And it was like, Yes. And they filmed all in Sanford. It was I don't know what it's going to be out. I'm really stoked though to see it come out. It's basically like a sci-fi about wrestlers and aliens attacking a small town. And I got to meet with the guy that wrote it, and he also starred in it. They filmed one day at the house, they filmed in the bedroom, and then in the kitchen again. And, obviously it's not like a big budget film, but I thought that I was like, I can help out. And, this small indie film, I'll help out and let them totally film at the house. And they were all around Sanford, right, Christina? Like everywhere, like there was sightings. Everyone's like, what's going on in Sanford? Everyone gets so excited.
We like ruined one of their production nights by accident because they were filming a lot at night so they don't interrupt stuff. But we had the Krampus parade that went from my restaurant to somebody else's. And we literally are traveling down the streets with an Alp horn and cowbells. And they were just like, it's okay. We'll all take a break and eat some dinner or whatever. But it's like, sorry, we'll be done in a little bit. Just ruining their shots with Alp horns.
Yeah. And it was a really cool experience. And another thing, like all location scouts, like what Christina said, they're a pretty tight knit community too. They all know each other. So they'll like refer to each other. And I was like, I know Stacy, and the scout and location lead on that was like, oh, she's great. And, so it was just like it's just a great little community. I was like, hey, can I have a job? Like, I want to be a set designer. Can I join you guys? Like, so it was pretty funny. I'm still waiting for that offer. So.
And now, Christina, go ahead and plug your group. If people are interested in learning more about filming in Sanford, or, how to get involved, is there a website? Is there a Facebook group? What should they look for?
You can go to filmsanford.com. We've got a website and a Facebook group. There's lots of other groups that Shanna belongs to too. And like a lot of time location scouts will, say, hey, I need a certain thing, and start looking on some of those groups. But it's really easy, and we're a pretty loose committee that works with our communications department in the city of Sanford. So if anybody wants to get involved, let me know. And one of our goals is to help update the Orlando Commission's website with locations that are available, make sure those photos are up to date, the contacts are up to date. So if it's something you're interested in, I've got things for you to do. So hit me up and we'll get to work.
Well, it's this is a great stories to share, because one of the things, from the industry side of things, it's easy to say it's great to have the industry around because it, puts people to work, and, the jobs are good and all of that. But there's a whole nother part of our industry, which is engaging the community and getting the people involved. And they feel like, just like we've talked about, you feel like you had a vested interest in this. And so that kind of there's a community pride to it. So it's really great to hear these stories from the other side of things.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So thanks for spending some time with us today, Shanna and Christina. We really appreciate the information and the stories, and look to have you back on maybe in the future when something else fun films in Sanford.
We've already got some stuff in the works, so hopefully we'll have some like that soon.
We will definitely look forward to that. Thanks.
Bye.
Right. Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Film Florida podcast. Make sure you catch The Right Stuff on Disney+. For more information about Film Florida, go to filmflorida.org or visit our social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Check out the Film Florida merchandise at teespring.com/stores/Film Florida, and please remember to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast.